Imagine living in a democracy where you can lose your right to vote simply because you're waiting for your day in court. That's exactly what's happening in Belize, where hundreds of citizens are being denied a fundamental right despite laws protecting it. We are joined by a member of Justice for Humans Project.
Hi, thank you for having me. You know what's troubling about this situation? Belize actually has legislation in place, Sections 5 and 7 of their Representation of People Act, that allows prisoners serving short sentences of no more than 12 months and those on remand to vote. And here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about local laws. There's this whole international framework supporting prisoner voting rights, including the Mandela Rules, named after Nelson Mandela himself, who spent 27 years behind bars before becoming South Africa's president.
Those Mandela rules are pretty comprehensive, aren't they? They specifically prohibit discrimination based on everything from race to cultural identity.
Well, what's particularly striking is that Belize's prison system claims they're already following these rules, and from our interaction with inmates, they are. The prison is not the problem here. It is the government failure to protect its citizens' rights, who for one reason or the other is behind bars. This is even more so given that bail is often denied for persons, and so your right to vote is just a bail hearing away. The prison CEO, Mr. Murillo, actually stated in 2020 that they're committed to meeting international standards and respecting human rights.
But there seems to be this disconnect between saying you follow the rules and actually implementing them fully. What do you think is holding them back?
That's a crucial question, but let me be clear, the prison is really not the problem. Mr. Murillo, to a large extent, is following the Mandela rules. However, maybe more could be done in terms of lobbying the government to allow prisoners who qualify to vote on March 12th. The practical barriers seem relatively manageable. I mean, they've already figured out how to handle virtual court appearances during COVID. Plus, all remand prisoners are centralized at the Colby facility, and Elections and Boundaries has the electoral list ready to go.
That's such an important point about the technological capabilities they've already demonstrated.
And let me share something else that's fascinating. In 2018, Mexico's electoral tribunal made this groundbreaking decision that prisoners have a right to vote. This came after years of legal battles, showing that change is possible in the region.
Well, that regional context really matters, doesn't it? It shows there's precedent for this kind of reform.
Exactly, and here's why this matters so much. Studies have shown that maintaining connections to civic life during incarceration significantly improves rehabilitation outcomes. When people feel invested in their society, they're more likely to contribute positively after release. The rehabilitation aspect really ties into what the Mandela rules say about the primary purpose of imprisonment being to protect society and reduce reoffending. And let's talk about the justice aspect. Many of these people on remand haven't even been convicted of anything. They're just waiting for their trial. And some are only there because they couldn't afford bail. We're essentially creating a two-tiered democracy based on economic status.
That economic dimension really highlights the broader social justice implications of this issue.
You know what's really striking? The psychological impact of maintaining voting rights. When prisoners retain the right to vote, it sends a powerful message that society still considers them citizens, that their voices matter.
So what do you think it would take to actually implement these changes in Belize?
Well, the framework is already there. They have the laws, they have the technology, and they have successful models from other countries to follow. What's needed now is public awareness and political will. When people understand this isn't about being soft on crime, but about maintaining human dignity and promoting successful rehabilitation, they're often more supportive. That's really the heart of it, whether society is ready to fully embrace the principles it claims to support through these international agreements. And here's what makes this story so compelling. It's not just about Belize. It's about how societies treat their most marginalized members, and whether we truly believe in universal human rights. The way we handle prisoner voting rights gives us a clear answer to that question.
Looking ahead, what do you think this means for the future of criminal justice reform in the region?
Well, I think we're at a turning point. Countries like Mexico, that is close to Belize, have shown that change is possible, and the international framework through the Mandela rules provides a clear roadmap. The question isn't really whether these changes will happen, but when and how quickly societies will adapt to meet these human rights standards.
That's such a powerful way to think about it, as an inevitable evolution toward more inclusive democratic systems.
And that's really what this all comes down to, whether we're willing to live up to the democratic principles we claim to value. Because in the end, how we treat those at the margins of society says everything about who we are as a democracy. I know my country will do what is right. We are a small country, but we always seems to find our way. Thanks for having me and allowing Justice for Humans project into this space to advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. Belizeans, please lobby your area representatives. Join our voices for change, because today it is them and tomorrow it could be us. Thank you.
Justic,